Here's another DJI Pocket wannabe, the first attempt by the company MOZA to add a camera to their gimbal portfolio. So how good is all of that? We'll find out soon enough. Let's go! Hey everybody! How are you doing today? You can let me know in the comments below. Maybe you have something fun to share, so yeah, make sure to comment below. My name is Michael and this is where we inspect cool tech. I think this is the channel where we have explored most of these pocket-sized camera gimbals, and what I mean here, there are so many already. This is, well, actually it all started with the DJI Pocket. This is the DJI Pocket 2, probably the most popular right now and the most capable. We'll see by the end of the video if Moin Camera is a bit better. That's the Feu Pocket. We have tested also the FimiPalm 2, FimiPalm 1 prior to that. But the reason why we're here today is because of this. Inside this beautiful case, we've got something which is called Moin Camera, which is a bit bigger than the competition. I think this is the slimmest from Feu Tech. And the MOZA is like twice larger, twice thicker. It was supposed to be called Moin Pocket, but obviously the Pocket brand or title is occupied by DJI, so they have rebranded it to Moin Camera. And this is what we're exploring today. There already are a few reviews about it. I've watched some of them. Very often people tend to call it DJI Pocket 2 Killer, and I'm not falling for this kind of clickbait titles. I guess all of us YouTubers do it sometimes. But thing is that it didn't kill anyone. I've watched one of those videos which was quite a rant about what this device cannot do, and obviously it does have disadvantages. It does have some good sides though. And we're going to see the whole thing, how it works, whether it's really good and worthy competitor to all the rest, to DJI Pocket 2, to FimiPalm, Snoppa V-Mate, and I see what you guys from Snoppa are doing, and that's not cool. And let's go ahead and explore more about it. Truth is that every now and then we hear about these big promises, and still DJI Pocket series are in their own league. So let's go ahead and see more of the details. Okay, first, a disclaimer. I have received the unit for free, and I have been testing it for close to 2 weeks now. I can't say I'm too impressed or disappointed, but at this point of time the firmware is not quite there yet. If we blame DJI for half-baked products at their launch, this is not even close to that state. That's why I've been waiting and waiting, but since the product is now on sale, I'm just gonna show you all the things that I've experienced from the perspective of a normal customer. So, unboxing. And this is not exactly the retail package of the device, at least not the outside part, because MOZA are not allowed to use the word pocket due to the too close to DJI's product line name. So now this is officially called Moin Camera, and the unboxing experience is quite promising. I really enjoy the way the device is presented and the tutorial included on the inner side of the package, which is just amazing. But we're here for the tech and its performance, so let's take out the Moin Camera. Another great news, there's a carrying case, hard shell with some space for cables and possibly lens filters. Well, while this sounds great, there are some doubts I started to have after touching the device for the first time. The texture is interesting, however feels cheaply made. Both DJI Pocket generations use mostly plastic, and still they have good grip and really nice feeling texture. The material here is mostly anti-slippery. The big highlight on this camera is clearly the display. When I saw the renders for the first time, it was, wow, that's great! And the display is really nice, big enough to make it easy for you to frame things properly, but also making Moin look bulkier and heavier than the rest. I really want to highlight the tech specs because you're going to notice that they set the expectations pretty high. Image sensor with the size of 1 by 2.3 inches, backed by the powerful Ambarella H22 processor, optics with 120 degrees field of view, supporting resolutions up to 4K 60 frames per second, a 930 mAh battery providing more than 2 hours of recording time, Bluetooth 4.2, Wi-Fi, and also support for up to 256 gig micro SD cards. All of that weighs just 163 grams, pretty much the weight of most mobile smartphones. If you're not that much into tech specs, they're actually very promising, especially the processing power. Image sensor, well, this one is being used in the Google Pixel phones line, however the first generation of the Pixels from 2016. So it's going to be interesting. I managed to try shooting in a lot of different modes, including the highest 4K 60 FPS, but also the lower bit rates, which allow cinematic 1080p in 24 frames per second, Although I'm not quite sure I can use the term cinematic in combination with such a small sensor. But we have to give credit to MOZA, at least for that, giving so many good choices for resolutions in frames per second. Let me quickly introduce you to the large display. Quality of the screen is just not good enough. Nothing about the performance is going to impress you, but it's visible. Well, not too visible on bright days, but still a lot better than the smaller displays out there. Still, I'm not too convinced that this is the best ever solution. On theory, it looks great, but the practical implementation makes me a little concerned about the operation. Because the touchscreen has pretty poor touch responsiveness. And should you want to fine-tune settings, it looks to me like there are a few dead spots, at least on mine. Configuration items are not too many. If you pull down the main settings, there's a spotlight meter, helps you to adjust the exposure. There's the screen brightness control, the recenter button, selfie mode trigger, lock mode and the different gimbal modes. The other cool option is when you swipe left, which gives you picture manual controls. Here things become really interesting because you can control exposure, ISO and shutter speed manually. In order to get the best results and the so fancy-looking motion blur, filters are gonna be needed. You may also try to enhance the footage by using the MOZA color mode, which I guess is supposed to enhance the dynamic range or preserve some more of the dark and white areas, but it doesn't seem to do anything meaningful. Also, while the processor supports it, the camera doesn't have any HDR mode. So let's see some more samples while I talk about my experience with the MOIN camera. It's actually easy to use, pretty quick startup, no issues with micro SD cards. Not too bad footage, but that's action camera grade quality. Nothing to do with the decent image that DJI Pocket series provide. I think DJI have mastered their game with camera performance and it's now so consistent, but I'm gonna try to not be too harsh with MOZA, because remember, this is their first camera gimbal ever. If the day is bright, the footage is gonna look good. If it's dark, there are a lot of reasons for MOZA to be concerned about their sales. So, the last part of this video is going to cover most of the disadvantages and the drawbacks of the MOIN camera. And you can see the timer, we're still off the end of this episode, so yes, there's going to be a lot. I think the major one is that at no point of time when I was using this, I had the feeling I'm using a quality premium product. It costs $299, do not forget that. So the cuts, the plastic, the materials, the construction, the feeling, the menus, the scrolling, none of that was up to par with the asked price. And if we look at this body, which costs just probably $50 more, the most basic combo, it's true without accessories, but it looks like a much more polished device, nice touch, nice finish, good ergonomics, and we'll talk about this area here in just a few moments. A lot better display, it's much smaller, but it's better visible in daylight. And the nice part is that you have really good ecosystem, you have tons of really great working accessories, and you have a brilliant smartphone app, which is probably the best out of all these pocket camera gimbals. With the MOIN camera, yes, a bigger display, but with worse quality and terribly lagging menus, they just better shut off this animation. So many firmware text issues, lack of good video database, broken links in the tutorial. So far, no firmware updates, and now is the time for that. And at the end, there are surprisingly too few gimbal tuning controls. Yes, battery life is good, specs, they promise good performance, but the overall impression you're going to get around MOIN camera is the feeling of not being good enough. Right, our usual audio testing. The MOIN camera outdoors vlogging example, and this is the quality of the internal microphone. I still don't know for sure whether they would release any wireless solution in the sense of what DJI have done for their Pocket 2 series, but I think that's good enough to rate the microphone quality of the MOIN camera, and you can let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Right now I'm, by the way, recording in 4K, 24 frames per second, and that's the FPV mode, because that's the only mode where I'm absolutely sure it's not going to tilt the horizon, something you can probably notice in some of the other videos I've taken. So let me know what you think of it, comment below. The second really massive difference is about the control. So I'll start with something that I like a lot. This is the DJI Pocket 2. So there here is a joystick, and when I move the joystick you can see that the camera goes up or down. It's pretty slow because this is the tuning that I have done, but You know, you can move it and you can make really nice smooth transitions. With the MOIN camera, well, all I can do is to adjust the angle by hand. Obviously, this is something unacceptable while you're filming a video. This is indeed a huge trade-off, and I think DJI mostly released Pocket 2 in order to address that. I can also point to many other drawbacks: no dual-band Wi-Fi, no clear info about external mic support. I was told it's being developed right now. There's no log mode, no H.265 encoding, no quarter-inch mount for tripods, and you can notice a lot of skip frames, especially with slow-motion modes. It really hurts me saying all that because MOZA gimbals are pretty cool, and it's surprising that they've ended up doing this. I think it's rather a mistake. If I were one of MOZA's decision takers, I'd give all the people that bought this for $300 at least a $100 voucher, because I honestly can't see how they can ask $300 for that. Yeah, for sure, firmware can enhance the performance. Question is, will that ever happen? And is this going to be good enough? Because hardware-wise, there are many drawbacks and they're going to stay there. I know that making hardware in 2021 is really challenging, and I hope MOZA are going to find a way to bounce back. So let me know what you think of all that in the comment section below the video. I'm still going to leave a link to the MOIN camera in the description below, because it could be that some of you liked its strengths, like this nice big tiltable screen, which I believe is the major advantage as compared to the other competitors. Just before ordering, really make sure that you know what you're doing. And to me, that's rather a disappointing product. I was hoping for a lot more at this price point, but let's see. Some of the issues are fixable through firmware updates. Some of them hardware-based. You just can't solve them. Still, I hope you learned something interesting from this episode. And by the way, this is a MOZA product, and there's another review of another MOZA product coming very soon, and it's entirely different league. I mean, it's almost perfect, but I'll tell you more about it in one of our next episodes. And in order not to miss it, make sure to be subscribed to the channel. It's been such a pleasure to see you here today, and I hope you have enjoyed the time. Wish you a fantastic day. See you soon. Bye.